So hello everybody, this is Bhante, Joe here, and I'm just here on this small mountain near the monastery and thought to record a short awada for the internet. So I thought that could start with just a little meditation, so you can lean forward a bit and arch the spine and look about 3 feet in front and close our eyes. And can focus in on the breath, can know when it's coming in and know when it's going out. If one breathes in a long breath, can just know, I'm breathing in a long breath. And if one breathes in a short breath, can just know, I'm breathing in a short breath. And can just pose the question in the mind, what would be a really comfortable way to breathe right now? And then one can just let the body respond on its own. And can focus in on the breath at the tip of the nose. And when watching the breath at the tip of the nose, can try to make mindfulness as continuous as possible, being aware all the way through the in-breath, as the in-breath turns to the out-breath, all the way through the out-breath, and as the out-breath turns back to the in-breath again. Trying to keep mindfulness as continuous as possible. And from this point at the tip of the nose, one can allow awareness to spread until it fills the whole body. And one of the metaphors they give in the canon for spreading feelings throughout the body is like a lake with an underground source. And the water comes up from the underground source and fills the whole lake. In a similar way, one can let awareness spread until it fills one's entire body. With awareness filling the whole body, one can practice whole body breathing. And when practicing whole body breathing, it can be good to change one's perception of the breath, so that it's not just air coming in and out of the lungs, but it's a kind of energy that's all around and coursing through the body. And it's possible for one to pull it into and out of every pore, almost like the body was a big sponge. So on the in-breath, one can think, whole body. On the out-breath, one can think, whole body. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. We can open our eyes and do a short awada short Dhamma discussion for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. So I hope this finds everybody well, wherever it might be. And was asked a question a while ago. I'll just paraphrase the question, but it was a good one. It was basically, are you ever meditating? And then the thought, and one is not concentrating so well, basically, and the thought comes up, could I be using this for something better, to do something for somebody? And kind of like maybe a thought of a project comes up. And the thought comes up, well, maybe I could be spending my time more wisely or more fruitfully, kind of helping somebody do something. And so the amount of time that a person spends on meditation versus the amount of time that one spends on dana is something that basically one has to balance out for oneself. When one is practicing meditation, there's basically a kind of, there's like a clearing that one needs in the mind. And that clearing is a clearing that's caused by renunciation. So in other words, if one gives certain things up, if one starts keeping the 5 precepts perfectly, if one gives up certain things like certain entertainments, then it creates a space in the mind in which the mind can develop. So if one doesn't give things up, then when one sits down to meditate, and tries to meditate, then one's mind is fettered by these kind of attachments to whatever sense object it might be. So if one is watching a lot of TV or watching a lot of YouTube or something like this, and one is just kind of doing that mindlessly, or one is kind of engaging in a lot of games or something like this, then or quite a lot of talking or quite a lot of interacting, then these are all things that fetter one's meditation. So it essentially places a kind of, it's like a person trying to run and having a kind of a weight that they're dragging behind, or 2 or 3 weights, or depending how strong the attachment it might be, it'd be like somebody trying to run and they're tied to a tree. They kind of can't really get anywhere being tied to the tree. The tree's stronger than their legs are. So depending how much one is willing to give up, that determines how much or how quickly one can progress in meditation, or even if one can progress beyond certain points. And kind of it can be very difficult to progress beyond certain points. So, in other words, the kind of balance that one strikes, the thing about giving dana is that one can do this basically anytime and get kind of happiness and good results from it. This is probably one of the reasons why in Buddhist countries that most of the lay people give dana. They don't spend too much time practicing meditation. It's because if one has quite a lot of family engagements, quite a lot of burdens, as one starts to practice meditation, if one wants to go further, then one has to start lessening one's engagement with the world to a certain extent. One has to start lessening one's attachments in the world if one wants to progress. So the choice depends on how much one is willing to give up, basically. And kind of if one really wants to progress in meditation, one can start keeping the 8 precepts every single week. If one does that, then one will have quite a lot more space in the mind to grow. Or one can start giving up things like entertainment and giving up watching TV and these various things. It pulls one back from the world and gives more space in the mind. But if one finds that one can't do this and one is facing a lot of roadblocks in one's meditation, then one can make the choice to do more dana or charity work. And kind of, pretty much most people, if they're keeping the 5 precepts, they can benefit quite a lot from doing a half-hour meditation in the morning or something, and maybe 15-20 minutes at night, or a half-hour in the morning, half-hour at night. If one wants to start doing more meditation, like 3 or 4 hours a day, this is when it becomes like a renunciation. One has to start renouncing things. So, having said that, if basically one is finding that one is hitting these kind of roadblocks in one's meditation, then one can ask oneself this question: do I want to go further? How much do I want to give up? And if one feels that one doesn't really want to give up certain things right now, then basically one can start to do more dana, start to do more charity. But the actual fine balance between these things is something that one has to feel out for oneself, because there are actually ways in which giving dana improves meditation. So in other words, one has to pay careful attention to the mind and see what's best for the mind, see how much one's willing to give up, see how much one wants to progress in meditation, see how much giving dana is helping one's meditation, and from there basically make a choice. So there's no set rule for it. It all depends on many factors, and there's very hard to come up with a formula for all the different attachments that a person might have in their life, and all the different factors that might go into their meditation progressing or declining or stopping, and all the different factors that might go into them getting certain amounts of joy from their giving dana and certain amounts of benefits in their meditation from giving dana. So all these things are something that one has to watch for oneself, keeping in mind the question keeping in mind some of these principles that one's meditation can be blocked depending on how much one is willing to renounce. Keeping in mind the principle that giving dana can also help one's meditation. And keeping in mind the principle that if one feels that one can't go any further with renunciation, then one can always get joy from giving. Okay, so leave that for reflection, and wishing everybody all the blessings of Dhamma practice.